Hey, good morning. It's Friday morning. It's July 3rd, beginning of the Independence Day weekend. July 3rd is also the day of my parents' wedding anniversary, a long, long time ago. I'm grateful to them for the way that they raised me and the legacy that they left behind. The Independence Day weekend is always an interesting one to think about because independence from tyranny is a good thing, but independence from the hand of God is a very bad thing. At least we think we can have that, and that's a myth. You can never be independent of God. What's happening now in our culture around us is that we believe that human independence is the ultimate right. And the deist emphasis on the Declaration of Independence, where we stress man's rights, misses the point. We are totally dependent upon God. We have no rights apart from Him. What we are naturally given as now, since the fall as humans, the right that we have is the right to go to hell. And we are dependent upon God for salvation to save us from that and to take us a different direction. We are also totally dependent upon God for our next breath. This video will not finish unless God purposes it to finish. If you are fortunate enough to see some birds flying around back there, God even controls that. The sound of the birds we hear chirping, those are all things that are in relationship to what God says is happening. He makes that happen. He is in control. So we are totally dependent upon Him. So if Independence Day means that I'm not dependent upon God, then Independence Day becomes a very different, challenging subject. If independence means that I will not be susceptible to a power that wants to take me away from God, that's another story. But what we have to be conscious of is not to get so caught up in our desire for independence that we lose sight of the fact that we are totally dependent upon the Lord of the universe. This is what Nebuchadnezzar came face to face with when he realized he thought that he had built this great Babylon, and as he's walking around the courts there of his beautiful hanging gardens of Babylon, he was, from a human standpoint, very pleased with himself, very thankful for himself. So he looks at this magnificent structure, which still stands as one of the ancient wonders of all time. He looks at that and says, "This is what I have done. My hand has done this." And at that moment, God reminded him in a very dramatic way, "No, this is about me." So when God brings him out of his period of whatever we want to call it, insanity, delusion, isolation, when God brings him out of that, his first response is, everyone is dependent upon God, and He is able to humble those who walk in pride. The solution to things that are pressing upon us now, whether it's the COVID attack, whether it is the racial unrest that is crippling our country, whether it is the injustice that we all encounter every day, the answer is always giving ourselves to God and acknowledging our dependence upon Him. And this is what Paul told the great thinkers on Mars Hill in Athens. You are totally dependent upon God. He determines exactly where you live. He causes you to get your next breath. He does all these things for one purpose, so that people will reach out to Him and perhaps even know Him. So this Independence Day, pursue that. Pursue dependence on God and be thankful that we have that opportunity to pursue what it means to be dependent. Think about that this holiday weekend. May all of us turn to God in dependence. Lord bless you, and we'll see you tonight. Bye-bye.